मुशीर खारजा आज़रबाईजान जनाब हिकमत हाजीएव हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं. Mr. Ambassador is joining us live from Azerbaijan. Mr. Advisor,
he's advisor to the President.
Welcome to Geo Pakistan. It's good to have you over, but I'm sure that things are very difficult for you right now. And
Mr.
we would like to know about the situation first.
In fact, first we want to welcome you on our show, and we also want to know the true reality, the background of what is happening over there, especially since we've been hearing that a lot of civilians have been targeted as well, which is quite concerning. So if you could apprise us on the current situation.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. Also, I use this opportunity to address my best wishes to our brother, the Pakistani people. When Armenia Azerbaijan conflict started in the 90s, Pakistan Islamic Republic and brother Pakistan supported Azerbaijan. And Pakistan doesn't have any diplomatic relations with Armenia because of its policy of aggression against Azerbaijan and because of the killing innocent Azerbaijani civilians and conducting notorious ethnic cleansing. When Armenia's yet another provocation happened on the 27th of September, Pakistan was also one of the first states that supported just cause of Azerbaijani people to ensure its territorial integrity and to ensure security of its citizens. Currently, the situation continues to be tense. Armenia launched a massive attack along the line of contact against Azerbaijani civilians with a deliberate purpose of killing and inflicting maximum damage to civilians and civilian infrastructure. Therefore, Azerbaijani armed forces were compelled to take counter-attack measures to repel Armenia's military aggression and also to ensure liberation of our occupied lands and to ensure safety of Azerbaijani civilians. And our military forces made certain advances along the occupied territories, and Armenian armed forces are retreating to certain areas. But while seeing their difficult situation, and we also witnessed that Armenian political military leadership is in panic, and they switched to missile attack against Azerbaijan's big cities and civilian infrastructures. Yesterday, they have launched massive missile strike using the Smersh and some other rockets and missiles against the second biggest city of Azerbaijan, that's in Ganja. And city center, massively populated city center was attacked. It was a deliberate and indiscriminate attack. They're also attacking Azerbaijani villages and cities along the line of contact. Just one figure, within one day, more than 10,000 artillery pieces landed to Tartar city of Azerbaijan, that's in a population of the 70,000. And Armenia's aggressiveness is going up and up. Yesterday, they switched yet another notorious provocation by launching a missile attack from the territory of Armenia against a second industrial city of Azerbaijan, that is Mingachevo. Particularly,
obviously, this is alarming. This is alarming indeed. Mr. Advisor, this is alarming that Armenia is attacking the most civilian populations, and the situation is not very good. But at the end of the day, be it any conflict, the conflicts are usually resolved through negotiations. So we would really like to know that is there any backchannel diplomacy involved so that you two countries get to sit together and talk about it and solve the situation, because people can really hope that there is no further loss of life and things can get back to normal.
Well, Azerbaijan is engaged in the negotiation process for 30 years with the ultimate goal of resolution of the conflict in a peaceful manner. Unfortunately, because of the policy of aggression and policy of Armenia to maintain the status quo of occupation, we couldn't make any progress in the negotiation process. They, by all means, try to backtrack the negotiation process. And they also try to, particularly Prime Minister of Armenia, with its unconstructive and populist and demagogue approach, undermine all concept of negotiations. And as a result of which, and we currently see with escalation of situation. In the meantime, we have witnessed that international mediation efforts were not enough, and it was just imitating the process rather than substantial engaging in the process, just prolonging negotiations just for the sake of negotiations. And with the Minsk Group co-chair countries are actually conducting this negotiation process. And of course, Azerbaijan is hopeful that this conflict at the end of the day will be resolved in a peaceful manner within the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Azerbaijan. And yesterday, my President Hamlay, made this public statement and appealed to Azerbaijani people. And he once again highlighted that Azerbaijan is willing to see, first of all, withdrawal of Armenian troops from the occupied territories of Azerbaijan, as demanded by the United Nations Security Council resolutions that calls immediate, unconditional and full withdrawal of Armenian troops, and also ensuring of Azerbaijan's territorial integrity and Azerbaijan's sovereignty. And based on that understanding, we do believe that we can move forward. And currently, there are sort of calls for the ceasefire. Azerbaijan also is supportive to these concepts, but how we can trust and how we can have a confidence to Armenian side when they are launching massive missile attack on Azerbaijani citizens.
That makes sense.
Trust deficit as well, and so right now,
Mr. Advisor, another thing, we are talking about international mediation. Pakistan is in full support of Azerbaijan, so is Turkey, and they have stated it so as well. What about international community? If somebody or some organizations wanted to help out with the situation, maybe take care of the wounded, feed the wounded, set up tent cities for them, whatever might be required, how can they get in touch and what can they do?
Currently, we don't need any particular need. Azerbaijani appropriate institutions, including the civil emergency institutions, are capable enough to provide all facilities and all necessary to Azerbaijani civilians who are becoming the target of Armenian armed forces. And simply, from that perspective, we don't need any additional support on it. What, of course, we are expecting from the international community that there should be more just position based on the norms and principles of international law. Sometimes we are also witnessing the double standards. Azerbaijani people are suffering from this policy of occupation and ethnic cleansing. Sometimes we see that statements are coming only just supporting one side, Armenian side, based on the pro-Armenian policy some countries are pursuing. Even there are the countries who are trying to be mediator in the process, but making unilateral statements just supporting Armenian side. But it's not unfair. What is our expectation from the international community to support a law-based and rule-based approach in resolution of the conflict, but based mainly United Nations Security Council resolutions, and based on that we can move forward in making progress in the negotiation process with the ultimate goal of ensuring withdrawal of Armenian troops from the occupied territories of Azerbaijan.
Mr. Advisor, countries like Pakistan and Turkey have been supporting your stance since day first, and they are really in full support of what your side of the story is. But what is the response of the other countries like the USA, countries that matter in the world? What has been their stance? What have been their stance so far?
Indeed, really, I once again would like to reiterate Brazil and Pakistan's support to Azerbaijan since the early days of its conflict, and Pakistan was always on the side of the justice, on the right side of the history. Therefore, it's also actually a message of thanks of Azerbaijani people. Now the streets of Baku and other cities of Azerbaijan are decorated with the flags of Pakistan as a sign of the sympathy, as a sign of thanks to Pakistani people. For other countries, in general, international community supports Azerbaijan's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and everybody knows who is an aggressor. That's an Armenian side. As particularly United States also supports Azerbaijan's territorial integrity and sovereignty. We are thankful for that. Indeed, within the Minsk group process, that's co-chaired by France, United States, and Russia, we would like to see them all actively engaged in putting an end to Armenian occupation and also implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolution.
Mr. Advisor, you just mentioned that the cities, Azerbaijan cities, are decorated with Turkish and Pakistani flags. We really appreciate it, and we want to reiterate that we would continue our unconditional support.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking out the time for talking to us. Thank you, sir. हमसे बात कर रहे थे एडवाइज़र टू द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ अज़रबैजान हिकमत हाजीएव, और ये सिचुएशन जो वहाँ हो रही है उस मुल्क में हम भी समझ सकते हैं, क्योंकि जब कश्मीर में कुछ होता है, एक अगर डिस्प्यूटेड हो तो फिर इस किस्म की चीज़ें भी हो जाती हैं. द कंसर्न इज़ कि रीजनल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ना बने, और जिस तरह आप पूछ रहे थे कि बैकडोर जो डिप्लोमेसी होती है, बैक चैनल डिप्लोमेसी, उसी पे बात अगर ख़त्म हो जाए. वो कह रहे हैं नेगोशिएशंस में इन्वॉल्व तो है आर्मीनिया, लेकिन ज़ाहिर है हटदर्मी है, क्योंकि साथ साथ हमले भी कर रहे हैं और साथ साथ बात भी कर रहे हैं. तो हमले रुकते हैं तो फिर बात होती है. तो पहले सीज फायर हो तो उसके बाद ही फिर नेगोशिएशन को आगे बढ़ाया जा सकता है.